What are some of the differences that we see big, centralized corporations doing in comparison to the decentralized AI space? How does that work really?
One of the differences, which is a lack of transparency about what the large centralized corporations are doing. They're clearly accessing huge amounts of data.
Mm-hmm.
No one really knows exactly from where. No one knows how people are really getting rewarded for it. No one really knows how that data is pre-processed, right? There's a huge amount of pre-processing required to get the data into a format and a quality for training. Key difference of decentralized AI is around that transparency. And it starts, I think, with your previous question about rewards, but it extends to how it's been manipulated. And manipulation can be right in the sense of pre-processing, or it can have more ethical or moral questions.
So welcome to this particular episode of Building Useful Shit, where if you guys aren't already familiar, we will be delving deeper into everything HumanAIx. Now, if you all didn't know, HumanAIx is a program that sort of advances everything in the crypto space in terms of decentralized AI. Now, we have a number of different founding members, and each episode is basically covering one founding member where we discuss everything that they will be doing in the decentralized AI space and contributing to it. Now, in this particular episode, we do have with us Holo, a P2P cloud network platform, and representing Holo is Alaistair Ong. Alaistair, thank you so much for joining us today over here. So happy to have you on today's episode.
Likewise, thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. Look, Alaistair, before we actually get down to brass tags, I wanted to quickly understand, we saw the Auth team, unveil the HumanAIx program, and we've seen the entire run-up of all the different founding members. We are so excited to have you on as part of, the founding members of HumanAIx. We just wanted to understand for the audience, how exactly will Holo be contributing to the overall development of the decentralized AI space through HumanAIx? Just wanted an insight over there.
Sure, thanks for that question. So we at Holo provide open cloud infrastructure for social collaboration, and especially to enable people to retain control over their digital lives. When democratizing technology, especially something as complicated and powerful as AI, that requires not just technology and economics, but also an excellent and intuitive user experience. So we are contributing what is called the interface layer of HumanAIx, where we'll be providing the end user applications that make it easy for users to interact with the broader ecosystem and the broader set of networks within the HumanAIx program. And within that, not everything is going to need to live on chain. Our focus is to make sure that what is off chain is, especially user data, is held in a privacy preserving and open way, where open means that users retain full control over that. They can move to a different interface layer, a different platform, or whatever.
That's fantastic. Thank you for that little insight into how you guys are contributing overall. I guess my next question is more in line with, the differences really that lie between, AI in general and decentralized AI. And one of them that has been notable for us in general has been the fact that, you get rewarded for data, for providing your data and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess my question is there already some sort of a system in place that we are drawing inspiration from, or is that something that you guys are creating from scratch? How does all of that work really?
The foundations, to me, are relatively straightforward or baked in. It's, I think, very readily apparent that there's a huge amount of value and demand for high quality data. And on the other side, there's a concern and even a frustration about who does the work versus who gets the benefit when it comes to that data. And when you have these factors at play, that's a recipe for a market-driven system, right? And that's a market-driven system where those who consume and make use of the data in different ways need to reward or pay those who who are providing or enhancing that data. So HumanAIx, I think we'll be putting in place a system that facilitates those payments and rewards. How exactly the system works, the specifics and the tokenomics, I think, are still things that we need to figure out. As you know, it's early days for this program.
That's good to know. Just the other day, I was chatting with Marco Stokic from Oasis Protocol. And, we were discussing the reason why HumanAIx requires this collaborative effort from so many different projects, and it's understandable. There's so much that goes into creating decentralized AI in general. My question here is, could you tell us, some of the differences, and especially for those that don't really see, decentralized AI as separate from AI in general, what are some of the differences that we see big, centralized corporations doing in comparison to the decentralized AI space? How does that work, really?
So I think that this is an area where, it's a little hard to answer. And the reason why it's a little hard to answer is one of the differences, which is a lack of transparency about what the large centralized corporations are doing. They're clearly accessing huge amounts of data. No one really knows exactly from where. No one knows how people are really getting rewarded for it. No one really knows how that data is pre-processed, right? There's a huge amount of pre-processing required to get the data into a format and a quality for training. And all of these can, inject biases. All of these can include, economic inequity in terms of them using data that they may not be adequately rewarded for. In the past, there have also been, fairly high-profile missteps about things like the results that models have given. Things like very strange levels of censorship or bias or reverse bias or whatever you want to call. And all of that, I think, stems from this lack of transparency. So I think one of the key difference of decentralized AI is around that transparency. And it starts, I think, with your previous question about rewards, but it extends to hopefully understanding more about the provenance of the data, how it's been treated, how it's been, manipulated. And manipulation can be right, right in the sense of pre-processing, or it can have, more ethical or moral questions. So I would say that's the primary difference and goal and the distinction with decentralized AI.
In that regard, how would you see the decentralized AI space develop through HumanAIx? Really love to hear your thoughts on, the eventual trajectory through HumanAIx of decentralized AI.
I think to some extent the honest answer is that nobody really knows, right? AI itself is brand new. Decentralized AI is even newer. What I think is exciting about an alliance or a program like HumanAIx is the openness, right? Like the one thing that's stuck with me when speaking with Ert when they were talking about this program with us was that there will be multiple members in each role, and it's up to the user to choose who they want to interact with, right? And that level of opt-in and transparency about how you participate, I think, is going to be a powerful driver in this space.
It's easy to ask the question, where are we heading? But, sometimes uncertainty is where we start with, or what we start with. I guess in regard to that, my question is, we've seen AI in general. I mean, just over these last 3 years, we've seen AI grow at an absolute breakneck pace, Yeah. Is there a possibility at some point of time, maybe not now, but maybe sometime in the near future, we see decentralized AI surpass this AI growth, so to speak? I mean, is that a possibility at some point?
I think there are definitely spaces and aspects in which decentralized AI can build an edge, right? I think how we define surpass is a part of that question. But um, I think there's, I think it's we're already seeing a lot of innovation around how to do more with with big foundational models, right? Fine tuning on human feedback, RAGs, prompt engineering, and so on. And these are areas um, where decentralization, I think, can certainly build an edge because it unlocks the diversity of thought, the different ideas, different demands that can really create more experimentation and move the entire industry, and especially the decentralized part of the industry, forward.
I've always had this question, and sometimes when I think about it as well, I keep thinking to myself, maybe one of the other reasons why, and yeah, I'm sort of going off topic from what we've been speaking about. I've always thought that the reason why these big corporations have been closed source has primarily been because of the unethical use of AI. And you've probably seen a couple of them, even in the crypto space, propping up in terms of agents where you could, throw in a photograph of a woman and it can make a nude for you and stuff like that. And I guess that's one of the reasons why, closed source makes a lot of sense to big corporations to prevent unethical use. My question is that something that we are in the present day talking about in regard to decentralized AI? Is ethical use and safety even a topic that we are currently discussing?
I think the honest answer is no. I think we actually see the opposite, that there is a frustration over very heavy-handed attempts at making AI safe by centralized corporations, right? And it's not just safety and ethical, right? Recently, there's been, I think, quite a few posts about system prompts in Grok that basically say, "Don't say anything bad about Elon Musk," right? I mean, that's like a post I've seen many times on Reddit in the last week, for example. So I think that this is probably one of the spaces where there's going to be divergence before convergence, where right now we're probably going to see the opposite at first. We're going to see people demanding uncensored AI, perhaps unethical AI, and then hopefully what we'll see then is, as the ecosystem matures, is is more incremental but cautious safeguards put in place, right? I liken it a little bit to how crypto in general, right? It used to be, you used to have like the Wild West days, and in the Wild West days, the general I would say that the voice of the community was a lot more extreme, right? Completely anti-regulation, completely anti-government, right? And whereas now there's perhaps a level of balance that comes with maturity and understanding that there are some places where these things make sense. But I think this is one of the places where we're going to see like a go slow approach, where it'll start with trying to step away from these heavy-handed approaches, and then come back with here's some other ways of doing it.
That's actually very thought-provoking. I love that point of view. I guess my last question to you, Alaistair, would be more in line with some of the challenges that decentral AI is already facing. How are some of the founding members and yourselves at Holo also sort of tackling this from a broader perspective? What are they really? Some of the challenges.
We don't really know. It's such a new space, right? Yeah. It's such a new space. I'd say that right now the space is, with the exception of reward systems for data, it's currently trying to mirror the centralized AI industry, but transposing it onto onto blockchains, right? It's just about getting data, training data. Training models, using the models, right? So far, and there's going to be divergence somewhere. We don't know where. There will be challenges, Not entirely sure where either. What I think the real value to me of a program like this with so many founding members is specialization, right? Like we can each bring something different to the table, different areas of expertise, different perspectives, and then in parallel solve the different problems.
Look, this was a fantastic conversation, Alistair. Thank you so much for joining us today and just, giving us a little bit of an insight into how Holo is involved as one of the founding members of the overall HumanAIx program. If you guys did enjoy this particular video, do make sure to like, share, subscribe. Do make sure to follow us for more very value-adding episodes that we will be adding to this overall series. And as usual, we'll see you guys in our next episode.